R.I.P. Chadwick Boseman.
R.I.P. Chadwick Boseman. Is it too late to say, or is it too wrong to say Killmonger was right?
I hope you're not recording.
That's either going to be the outro or the intro.
No, come on, Todd.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Is This Thing Recording? This is episode 8 of Power Report, and I am joined with a solo special episode by Bam. Bam, hello.
Bam here in the building. Power Report 2.
Still with your mouse completely off screen. Like, we're going to have to teach you one day how to, properly set up a screen.
I'm okay. This is perfect. This is what the people want.
You know what? I'm even going to change the layout on our thing. Bam's afraid of any layout change we do. It's not working. Oh well. I wanted to do a side to side, but that's not going to work out. Anyways, great podcast material. This is episode 8. We're going to do, usually every other episode will be interview and then a panel show. But this panel, of course, we couldn't get everyone together. Some people are dying in trenches a little bit. It's a little bit rough in the streets. Some people, the schedules didn't work out. But Bam and I will have a great episode here. We're going to go through some of the, I guess we seem to be doing this all the time on the show, revisiting the current public climate and trauma around protest and police brutality and double standards in racial politics. Then we'll go into the DNC and the RNC, which I'm told are different things. We'll do a fun question about whether or not Trump is going to win, because that's usually an annoying question most of the year, most of the time. But now we're about 3 months within the election period, so we can get to predictions and then really have fun with them. And lastly, a little bit of fun to end out the show. But to begin, of course, with the shooting up in the Midwest, there was the thing with Jacob Blake. Of course, people at this point have heard a little bit about it at least, but he was basically breaking up a domestic dispute of some kind. And when the police came, as usual, they came not to fix anything, but make things worse. The domestic dispute was already basically handled by Jacob Blake, at least what was happening at the time. And then once he was coming outside, apparently they were arguing with the police. And that's when, as Jacob Blake goes into his car, an officer is holding him by the shirt and shoots him in the back 7 times. He is, at least as far as I know right now, paralyzed, but still alive. That's at least good to hear, because a lot of these things usually end in the passing of said, yet another sad statistic in police brutality. But of course, nothing's just really happening with the officer. Nothing is really happening on the streets. And then actually, there's as he makes something happening on the streets with the rise of not mass vigilantes, but just vigilantes who are into white nationalist propaganda that is very adjacent to right-wing propaganda, arguably the same thing. We'll argue later in the show, same thing. But I don't know, Bam, what are your thoughts on this another week of a news cycle where we see this happen yet again in this country?
Well, Jacob Blake was 29 years old, was shot in the back. If I'm not mistaken, 3 of his children were in the car. It's just sad, because I'm so numb to police brutality and just seeing heinous police shootings. I saw that one. I remember the one from South Carolina was basically the exact same thing. Oh, actually, no, that one in South Carolina was worse, because the cop asked him to get his ID out the car, then shot him in the back. There's conflicting reports. It sucks whenever these things happen. Like I'm also hearing that they were there for him. I don't know. Did he get tased? I'm not sure. But it's just this constant thing where you feel like somebody's black, they're guilty. The police treat these people like they're guilty already, and they just have so much fear and just so trigger happy when it comes to black people. And it really sucks for me on a personal level that I'm not, just to be very honest. Like I'm numb to it. I'm like, I've seen it so many times. It's just a constant thing.
Welcome. You are now as black pilled as I am, as I like to say. Like you, it's like I'm numb. I've hit the low point. Like what? There's nothing I am going to learn personally from seeing yet another one of these shootings that I haven't known since the George Floyd shooting, that I haven't known since before that, since I haven't known basically being raised as an African American in this country. Like it's just like it's it's now more apparent. The cases are more obvious. It seems like no matter how obvious the cases get, the requisite sort of backlash or reform doesn't come. There's never any time where, well, I mean, we almost had it with the George Floyd demonstrations. I know I was really cynical about it when we were talking about them earlier this year, Bam. And you said that no, maybe this time there are enough people on the streets. It seems to be a sustained thing that maybe this is going on. And I think there's that sustained attention to some extent. I think there's something to be said that the police officers, even under that sustained attention, still feel they can do this with impunity because their truth is they're partially right. But even under this attention, it's not like we've had the other party, the opposing party, the Republican Party, even come over and say, "Oh wow, these things really have gotten out of hand. You know, we care about law and order, as we know as the Republican Party, but we really got to do something about police training or at least accountability in some way." No, it's not happening. If anything, you're getting doubling down, quadrupling down from the Republican Party on, well, you know, the New York Post obviously had their articles ready with, let's check out his criminal record and background. Like it's, you know, the usual suspect is happening all over again. So like you said, the cycle is, I've gone through the cycle hundreds of times. There is no low point. Like there is no point out of this. I'm so numb.
Like I mean, I've seen the worst of the worst when it comes to police brutality. I mean, it sounds crazy, and I don't know how somebody else hears this, but I've seen a cop shoot a chihuahua. Like I'm literally seeing it's like a little tiny dog that wasn't bothering him, and he shot it. Like there's like that's one thing about being numb, but kind of going back to the what was happening. I mean, we're gonna get into the Kyle Rittenhouse stuff. But whenever the George Floyd like protest popped off, the biggest thing for me was when AOC tweeted out that a lot of politicians are scared of police. There is a culture in policing that is terrifying, I think, for politicians. It operates like a gang, and I think that and they operate with elements that are reactionary and extremely violent and armed. And I think that was even more evidenced by what happened with the Kyle Rittenhouse thing. The police are in their tanks passing out water to these guys, these militia member dudes, thanking them that they're there. They're perfectly fine with these vigilantes being there. Anybody,
yeah, go ahead. Say really fast. Let's get into that since we're getting into that point now. So the name Kyle Rittenhouse unfortunately became a major part of the news because he was shown to, at a Black Lives Matter demonstration in Kenosha, Wisconsin, the area where the Jacob Blake shooting had happened. Kyle Rittenhouse was one of these militia members who saw that there are going to be Black Lives Matter demonstrations. So of course he joins the militia counter demonstrations. And he really makes this effort to like appear like he is part of the wave that is against these demonstrations, as though he cares about although Kyle Rittenhouse cares about Black lives. There's some photos going around that he was like cleaning up graffiti and making sure that he could protect Black neighborhoods. There are videos of him walking around with his gun and firearm and everything. And it coalesces in this point where Kyle Rittenhouse ends up shooting one person in the head, another person in the chest, and a third person in the arm. The first two people have unfortunately passed, and the third person, who was shot in the arm, had their arm amputated because of the bullet wound. This is a 17-year-old kid who brought the gun across state lines, the gun he shouldn't have had legally, and fired it into a situation where it does not appear that he was under threat. It seems like he was the one making the threat, and then other people were acting in a reaction to him being the threat. So I definitely have a lot of thoughts about definitely the threat aspect and who gets to the familiar term "stand your ground" comes up on here, but I'll let you jump in on that because
Like,
that's where you kind of left off.
like the fact that you can be armed with a AR-15 and like you're just the same as somebody with two hands in Wisconsin, like obviously in different states, but I don't want to say this country, obviously, but like in certain places in this country, and actually no, in this country, because there's going to be a lot of people in the media that just look at them the same.
Right.
It's just unbelievable. Like he's just that's he's the same as an unarmed person, but he's armed to the teeth. So for me, no, the fact that he's out there at a protest with a freaking with a killing machine, he's a threat. The fact that that's allowed, like, yeah, these guys are allowed to be here too with their guns, and these other protesters are unarmed, and these guys are the counter protesters and they're armed. Like, just it just screams like that the police are complicit. Like, dude, tell those people to go home. Tell them to. I saw another video. I saw a video. There's some. I don't know if it was in Wisconsin or not, but there's some guy wearing blackface. Some white dude wearing blackface running around trying to like jump around at the protest, being funny. The police got him out of there. They're like, dude, get out of here.
And then we don't want you to get hurt from these like crazy protesters. Meanwhile, like the thing that ticked me off with the Rittenhouse aside was that it was actually a video of the police in their like armored tanks trying to disperse protesters, and Kyle Rittenhouse was there on the same night. I don't remember, it was either before he had just shot and killed two protesters or after he had just shot and killed two protesters. But you see a guy in a tank throwing a water bottle to him saying, "Thank you for being out here. We appreciate it." Like, if there's no more like glaring example to the point you were making, Bam, a while ago, and you're like, now semi-famous, the police are just a mafia and a gang kind of rant. Like, that is it right there. Not only are they a mafia and a gang, they know who their allies are in the streets. And it's funny how every single time they seem to be allying with the people who think that there is a genocide currently happening against white people that they are the last line of defense to stop. Wow, would you imagine that?
Like, I mean, it's comical that somebody can say anything different at this point. Like we're talking about the police. We're not talking about individuals. We're not talking about bad apples. We're talking about the culture of policing. We're talking about something that's deep. Like, it's not just like the guy riding around in the neighborhood or somebody pulling somebody over for a traffic stop. We're talking about what's going on inside that we have no idea about. But every once in a while, the DOJ comes out with some report and they blow the whole shit up. When they did it in Ferguson, they're like, yeah, there's racialized policies here. There's all kinds of corrupt things going on in this police department. They did it in I don't know if it was actually Baltimore PD, but like in Maryland, same thing. DOJ investigates. There's all kinds of stuff going on. All like just so much corruption. That's happening in every single police department. And then there's worse things happening where they're like part of these militia movements. They're like virulent, genocidal racists. And this is and when things are tense, when things are made tense about the police, shooting people in the back, kneeling on somebody for 8 minutes until they die, shooting Tamir Rice, a 12-year-old kid, with a toy gun in an open carry state. Don't even say anything to him, just ride up on him and shoot him and kill him. People are going to react to that. Like, yeah. What if you're some right-wing loser, like, what do you think is supposed to happen? Somebody's supposed to have their kid get shot, and they're just supposed to be like, oh, well, man, I guess I should have had a white kid. Like, what the hell's going on?
No, clearly the response is to A, only handle your anger and have your outburst by protesting and voting. That's the only thing you can do. And B, whatever you do, make sure that you don't destroy any Black-owned businesses, because then you'll be defeating the point. They'll be like, that defeats the whole idea, because then if you like, if a window gets busted somewhere, if property gets busted somewhere, that defeats the whole purpose of you being upset that someone's life is gone. Like, literally, that's what it is that if a door gets busted than your anger about someone paralyzed for the rest of their life, someone's kids being traumatized for the rest of their life unnecessarily because of our years uh, long connection to slavery system that we have that is policing in this country. The fact that we're just supposed to react to that and just be okay, like, and I keep getting at it. This is happening repeatedly. All the same things, from the original incident to the way the media responds to it, to the same tepid way Republicans go, "Oh yeah, I guess there's nothing we can do," to the same tepid way the Democrats go, "Oh yeah, well look at the Republicans. They're not letting us do anything. So I guess there's nothing we can do." So you just kind of let the outrage hit, and then it subsides because there's a fire going on somewhere, there's a hurricane going on somewhere, there's a flood going on somewhere else, and then we just go about our merry day, look at some stock market numbers, and then there's another hashtag, there's another guy who gets shot, and we have the same thing over and over again. And so, like, no one is going to ever, like, it's just going to keep hitting these stalls where we have this moment of outrage and anger, and there's these Instagram think piece posts about racism that fly around for 3 days, and then nothing happens because we've decided that we are an entirely inept and failed state, and we don't expect anything from our politicians but the inevitable, like, apocalyptic demise that inevitably puts America under another country's rule. But maybe I'm just getting a little too optimistic for this episode.
Slow down, to bump the brakes. Like, I'm someone that's been paying attention to police brutality, like, not I don't want to say, like, so hard, but like pretty intently since the Mike Brown case. And like, you lose track of all the ridiculous murders that happen from police. Like, you just lose track. It's like, man, this happens a lot, and it's like there ain't enough. There's not enough hashtags. There's not enough protests. Like, like, even the fact that, like, these the protests and stuff rarely happen when there's like a white guy that gets attacked by the police, or whatever. Like, there's you can't even keep up with all the terrible things that police officers do. But the only way that it'll change, this is I mean, I guess, talking solutions, I guess the only way that I think it could change is that, if we're going to pretend that the FBI is different from the police, like, they need to infiltrate these departments, record all the crazy shit that's going on inside, and then blow it up. Now, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if the police are just going to go crazy and start killing people in the streets, but there's a culture of policing. I think Dan's trying to find the solution right now. But there's a culture, and that is what we're talking about. Like,
okay, so even for what you're saying, Bam, like, even you're saying that the only solution is for the FBI to, like, go in and really show what these police departments are about from, like, a federal level, unbiased from the individual fraternities of the police orders. Like, again, like, set aside that one large assumption that you're already, like, kind of making a face at. Like, yeah, maybe that's kind of a large assumption. But B, you're also making the assumption that, like, the general public, when presented with damning factual visual information, will turn. And, like, I think that was true to a point, but, like, we've hit the threshold of that. Just like how Donald Trump's approval numbers, let's say, optimistically that this is his last term, Donald Trump's approval numbers never really fell below 35%, right? That means, like, there's a floor. That means we've alienated all the people he possibly can. Now we've got the diehards. We're just only going to hit the diehards. I think we've hit, like, as far as we being the broader movement for racial justice and reorganization of power in this country, we have exhausted all of the avenues to get to the people who accept facts. Like, we've reached that threshold now. So I don't even know if that understanding of one day we peel back the curtain and show everyone what's really going on, the fuck does that do at this point? Like, I don't know. It doesn't seem like it makes a dent.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think like there would be some people, but yeah, there's some people that would be like, oh wow, I didn't know that. Like there's still some of those, I think, when it comes to policing itself. And because like police, people know cops and stuff, like there's gonna have to be like a lot of them to be like, yeah, you know what, like that's what's going on. But whatever. They're like you're totally right. There are some people that like they will not accept, they don't believe in facts. It's just like, no, it's just like what I believe, and like whatever else is a lie, or just whatever Trump says, whatever Tucker Carlson says, these people are right and whatever else is different doesn't matter. Or it just doesn't matter. Like, yeah, it's true, but I don't care. Um yeah, we do have a lot of those. And like when I think about those people, like those are the scary people. Like, you know, that's what Kyle Rittenhouse is. And those people he shot, those people he killed, there's two white guys he killed. Um, like, like yeah, they're willing to. I mean, I guess I don't want to say like they're all willing to just shoot and kill anybody. He seemed like the only one to do it, but like they're like the race war.
I mean, like, let me just pause on that because he wasn't the only one to do it. Let's drag Facebook in here because there was an event that said, like, on Facebook that said, like, come fight against Antifa in Kenosha, Wisconsin that night, asking for militia members to come armed and like protect property. There was a Facebook event asking motherfuckers to come up here armed. We've seen these people protesting masks. They're like, you can't make me wear a mask. I've got a gun. So of course, like, these people are going to take this shit seriously on Facebook, on Boomer Book. Absolutely. So like and then Facebook said, we understand that there's the possibilities that having an event like this may have encouraged some harm. It's, again, like if anything, I can call 2020 like the precipice of reality in the sense that it's so obvious now. If you don't see it, you're either not paying attention willfully, like you've just accepted the pillow of stupid and you're just like jumping into it willfully and just like a ball pit of stupid and you're just falling in, or you purposely do it to back your racist agenda. But like even that's what they're doing. That's the other thing we have to price into these things now. We're going to forget about it a little bit. The basketball players and the hockey players and baseball players will boycott like 1.5 minutes of gameplay, and then another person's going to get shot. There's going to be Black Lives Matter protests. The police are going to respond to the protests of them shooting someone by igniting curfews and launching tear gas at the protesters, so basically punishing people for responding to the injustice that they are perpetrating. And then on top of that, you're going to have militia members who follow along in these like communities where these shootings happen to come armed to protect the cops. Like, that's what they've done now. The Republican Party has successfully jujitsu'd its dumbest supporters into protecting the jackbooted thugs with guns. It's kind of incredible, actually.
Yeah, I mean, and I was waiting for you to say it, the word racist. I was waiting for you. You said it first. And really, like, I just feel like that's what it boils down to. Like, you have people that are just the worst of the worst type of person. Like, for me, like, to be a racist, you are the worst. Like, that's the worst kind of person you can be. And these people are motivated and they're being whipped up. I mean, and I mean, okay, actually, I'm not going to get off topic. Let me stay on topic. They're being whipped up, and there's just like no middle ground. Like, there's no some people were thinking the middle ground is cops kneeling with you. Them locking arms with you, them taking a picture with you, them saying Black Lives Matter somewhere. Like, no, it doesn't matter, dude. Like, when you have when a police officer feels comfortable shooting someone unarmed, not dangerous, like when they feel comfortable doing that, like we're talking about something way bigger. And we're not going to get to the bottom of it until like they start turning on each other, or I don't know. Like
I think that's it. Like other cops are gonna have to start turning on each other before it really.
And whenever they do, they end up dead. Like they end up in witness protection. Like they're worse than any gang. They're worse. Like they're scared that once you that's a blood in blood out organization, dude.
Yeah. I think the last point that we can put on here is I remember we juxtaposed just the incidents where, like, you've seen the back and forth between how Jacob Blake and Kyle Rittenhouse were treated, where like Jacob Blake was solving a problem, he got shot 7 times. Kyle Rittenhouse was shooting other people and he got a water bottle. Well, you can even put it like this, all right? There is an instance where Jacob Blake, like obviously you have his thing. There's like a World Star hip hop video you sent where like the police officers have their guns drawn at this white dude who's all like up in his truck, and this white dude in his truck is yelling in the cop's face.
Stupid fucking bitch! There's my fucking license, you piece of shit! You wanna pull a gun on me in front of my fucking kid? I'll fucking kill your fucking ass, you stupid fucking bitch!
Kids in the car?
Fuck you! Inside your fucking ass!
Like, I'll fucking kill you. You get that gun out of my face. You better not do that. And he lives. And like that's basically the end of the video. Like,
he leaves.
They don't even touch him. Like the cop has the gun drawn to him, and the cops don't touch him or arrest him. No threats, no resisting arrest, no threats against an officer. It's just because you get to protect your dignity in America if you look like that. You get to have the benefit of the doubt in America if you look like Kyle Rittenhouse. You get presumed guilty, and your life literally doesn't mean shit if you're black or you're Jacob Blake. So at least thankfully he's alive. But let's move on to.
Can I say something else about Kyle Rittenhouse? I didn't say enough about him.
Last point.
Yeah, last point, because I didn't really give him. I didn't give him enough heat. Kyle Rittenhouse. I don't know who your parents are. They're failures. Fuck you and them. Whoever was around in your circles that didn't get you to not be this type of person, they're all failures. Everybody failed you. Everybody that's like you is a loser and a clown and an idiot. You wasted your life, dude. 17 years old. Somebody got in your brain and brainwashed you at 17 to think that I need to go out and go carry, like you're about to get fed time probably because you crossed state lines. Somebody brainwashed you into doing this at 17 years old. Those people are responsible. Whoever got you over there is responsible. And I hope other young, impressionable, it's not even just white kids, other young, impressionable, prone to conspiracy, incel, loser kids see something like that, because that dude, when they show him at the courthouse, he's going to be crying. He's not going to be standing up like Anders Breivik in Norway. He's going to be like, fuck, my life is over. And nobody wants to go to jail at 17 for shit for the rest of your life. There ain't nothing that important.
Look, I'll double down. Like, I don't care. Like, there are a lot of these shooters who, I hate the fact that now, because this case is so egregious, we're going to be giving this motherfucker way more attention than he deserves. But, like, fuck him, fuck his family, fuck his entire like ideology and people that he comes from. Fuck him all to hell. I hope that if this were an actual just society, he wouldn't make it to the trial hearing. He would just be left to die in jail. And I'm gonna not get graphic as to how he would die in jail, but I have thoughts to that. Like we are so blocked out of balance in this country with like what really happened versus how we should really be treating this and what kind of seriousness we should really be having about this. But like, yeah, I don't know. It's I have to stop because I will get over.
Don't get caught up on the internet believing bullshit, thinking that there's some big conspiracy that you need to go and protect something. You're 17, dude. Like, don't get caught up on the internet on that bullshit. There ain't no reason. You're 17. Go try to make something out of yourself. Those dudes, those older 30-something-year-old guys, they're happy. they're like, shit, man, this guy is fucking going too far. They came out there to stunt with their guns. They weren't trying to shoot him. You're a dumbass because you're 17. You don't know better. You went out and shot somebody. I hope the other young dudes who get brainwashed by these older guys or these idiots on the internet to go out there and bring their guns out and do something stupid, I hope you think twice, because that dude is gonna regret that for the rest of his life. There's no glory in jail. There's no pride in jail. There ain't nothing. He's not gonna go to jail and get celebrated for killing some Antifa guys. No. They're gonna be like, you give me that fucking coffee cake. Little dude, idiot.
Long story short, fuck Kyle Rittenhouse with a rotten cucumber. Let's go to the hope of the country, the Democratic National Committee. Yeah, they are our saviors. They are here to come for us. The Democratic National Committee had their sort of like time in the spotlight to express what the country is going to look like under them, their vision for the country, and the entire thing was just like kind of a shit show through and through. I mean, you kind of had the convention begin with Bill Clinton, who in the 2016 Democratic Convention already looks like the fucking Crypt Keeper, with his like eyes, like you could basically see his brain and his eyes protruding from his skull because the rest is rotting off of him for the 2016 convention, where he's looking at the balloons like it's its last like moment of brain chemicals reaching his body before death, and he's having that euphoric moment. But he's speaking at the 2020 convention at the same week where yet another photo of him receiving a massage from one of the women that Epstein groomed is floating out on the internet. So if that doesn't tell you enough about the Democratic Party, I don't know what does. You have Sam Cedar from the Majority Report made a pretty interesting point that basically the 2020 DNC was the 2004 RNC. You had people like John Kasich, you had people like Colin Powell, you had just a lot of conservatives who were basically making the Democratic Party message. And it's weird because so much of the energy and so much of the media attention be damned, in this past cycle went towards the energy of the left and the power of like the left and the insurgent left and the Democratic Party. And they seem to have most of the policy ideas and most of the goals. So you'd think that that would be placated or referenced at least a little bit. But no, Joe Biden won. So it's going to be about a return to normal where Republicans can be completely awashed of their sins of the past 4 years for creating a cottage industry out of profiting off of the death of people of color. That's the vision of the DNC that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris bring now. So I know, like, but neither of us really watched the DNC. Thankfully, there were people who were out there who did the reporting for us. So those of us could not lose the remaining brain cells we have left. But Bam, what were some of your thoughts on the DNC?
I mean, I'm like someone that's like on the left. Like my politics don't align with like the regular schmegular Democratic Party. So I'm not surprised by any of it. I'm just like, yeah, that's what they're gonna do. I'm gonna give Colin Powell a pass because he did go embarrass himself at the UN, and I think they made it. That was like a black sacrifice. Like I think they made him do that. Like, if you want to stick around, you're gonna be the one to go embarrass yourself at the UN. So I'm gonna let Colin Powell rock. I don't say I'm sad, but like John Kasich, dude, like really?
The Crossroads picture, the Crossroads path thing, that was so cheesy.
I was like, dude, come on. Like that he's like the worst dude. Like
he was the loser from the Romney cycle. Like he was the not even Pete, he was the Julian Castro of the Mitt Romney cycle. Like he was so like he was politically speaking, as far as presidential chances, he was a nobody.
Yeah, like I mean, and his politics are just like, I mean, I don't know what the hell he's even doing supporting. I mean, and I guess I can see him supporting Joe Biden, but like supporting the Democrats, like it's weird. But like that was the one I was kind of like, damn, dude, like why this guy? Like he's like anti-abortion, he's like anti-gay. Like what's up with this guy? Like, I mean, there's definitely gonna be like some choices that they make who's speaking and like their agenda that that's not me. I don't think anybody talked about universal health care. Like, there's going to be a lot of pandering.
But for me, like for me, there's something to be said about like the complete capitulation to the Republican framing of society. Because to skip a little bit ahead, I think the Republican National Convention was like the main theme of the DNC was that it's the Republican National Convention from like 10 years ago. The main theme of the Republican National Convention is that it's the Republican National Convention from like bizarro world. Like they're living in a completely altered reality that they're creating out of thin air, where Trump is a successful president, while at the same time, the last 4 years have been terrible. So Trump needs to be elected to fix the problems in society. So like the issue with the Democrats is that they are accepting the framing that the Republicans are giving them, that the Democrats have messed up the country, that they haven't done enough for the country, or that the Republicans are right or acting in good faith with any of their opinions or policies. Like even then, the John Kasich stuff with him being against gay marriage in like 2012 and being a really staunch conservative with the party. Obviously not like the most far right ever. He was always like a moderate, but like a moderate conservative. Be real about what moderates are in America compared to the broader political spectrum worldwide. It's this odd sort of the Democrats crying uncle and saying, okay, we'll play the game your way. We're just going to like moan and complain and pretend to be upset while we're doing it. But we'll basically like be the Republican Party's mini-me. Is like, they're not giving anyone a message. They're not giving anyone like a theme to say like the Democratic Party stands for this. They're mostly just trying to say, take these nice snapshots and memories in history. This is what we want to go back to. Just vote for me and you get a go back to that button. Like in some of the Democratic Party rewriting of history, sorry, Dan, but like in some of the Democratic Party rewriting of history, they said that Barbara Lee was a standout Democrat because she voted against the war in Iraq. And it's like,
she's the only one.
Wow. Actually, it's like amazing. It seems like Democrats have been really on it, because it seems like that was the only Democrat. Oh wait, you mean there wasn't only one Democrat in Congress during the vote for the war in Iraq? You mean every other Democrat basically voted for the war in Iraq, other than like Barbara Lee and a couple of others? And like, you're completely missing the point. And I think that's like, if they were to admit that, they'd be giving up the whole game almost too quickly. It's that the Democrats have always existed to be the Republican light party. The idea that there's any real difference of them has been like really good marketing and a facade that they have put in place over the past several decades. And right now, it's just like they can be as mask off as the Republicans for how much they enjoy austerity politics and the politics of letting capital reign while the rest of America crumbles.
Well, I don't want to, not necessarily to play devil's advocate, but like, there's a part of me that wonders, like, I mean, you're not even when Joe Biden kind of won the nomination and like when he started to kind of pick up steam, even though it was a weird time, like COVID hit around that same time, like there's a part of me that's just like, well, maybe honestly, that's just America. Like, there's a part of me that's like, okay, like I know my politics, I know the people that I know and like how we feel, but like it's a big ass country. I'm here in my space and like connecting with a few people that are like-minded. You know, maybe that Joe Biden, there's the Joe Biden and that like centrist platform and go back to whatever, like there's got to be a lot of people that actually want that. I mean, and I'm not going against what you're saying, because I feel how you feel, but there's got to be so many people that are like, that's what they want. Although yeah, I can't fathom what that means, because I don't really know what Joe Biden is saying to like actually want, but he's got to be speaking to a lot of people.
Like, here's the sad reality: is that like, at the end of the day, we're talking about the voting opinions of only the people who vote. So like, there's all the people in America, because we always kind of like talk about Americans' opinions and perspectives. Like, we could be being literal with that and saying all 330,000 people in America or so. But it's not that. It's really just the eligible voting age population who is registered to vote and who votes often. Yeah. That's already cut down to like a third of the country, down from like already. So like, Yeah, I think there's a lot of people who exist outside of that voting universe who their political opinions are not mappable on the political spectrum. It's because our political system does nothing more. It's like fantasy football. It just serves the people who are involved in it. It's an industry that is nice for the people who participate in the game, and like it brings, and like no disrespect to fantasy football or anything like that, but it's all just like it's play money, it's show money for the vast majority of the rest of the population. But if you are playing in politics, you're the eligible voting age population. Like we know that the electorate skews older and skews wider and more educated. So it really just means it skews towards a certain population who has been fed a certain type of propaganda, as we've all been fed certain types of propaganda based on our slivers and slices of population. And Biden is running towards that candidate. It's just that when you have conventions like this, these conventions, the audience are the political diehards. And so when you're looking in as someone who is a political diehard like you and I are, I guess, like it was care as far as we have the interest in it, but we have no loyalty towards the parties. We don't particularly like any of the parties, and we know that the party structures themselves are the most corrupt and least stable parts of the whole system. Like they're the monsters, they're the Frankenstein monsters keeping this all going, are the Democratic and the Republican Party establishments as they are, like companies and corporations. So like, yeah, to your point overall to say, the electorate is more like conservative, what Biden is talking about. But it goes to say that the parties and the electorate, all the stuff we're talking about, is so divorced from real politics and everything else that regular people outside the political system are dealing with. And that disconnect is so clear and so stark, just like all the other disconnects are in this country, that the regular people are not paying attention to it and they don't care. It's just whatever the DNC and the RNC do, whatever. My day is going to go on. And so they've gone in, the DNC and RNC are gone in reacting as though that is just the reality. They don't have to cater to that any kind of group. So if you're just looking into it, it is so stark how out of touch these parties ultimately are with the public still. So I'll stand on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like when you think about it, it's like, yeah, I guess like America is pretty conservative. Like, yeah, like my politics aren't popular. Like, you know, it's a kind of a conservative. Oh, well, actually, yeah, electorate. Like the people that vote and care to vote. Like it's a mostly conservative-minded group, whether they vote Democrat or Republican. The difference is now like the Republican like voice that's out there is like kind of, it's pretty wild nowadays. It's gotten kind of, it ain't like 2004 Republicans. But yeah, there's a part of me that's just like, maybe like what's needed is, I mean, it sounds defeatist, but I don't mean it this way. Like maybe what's needed is some more time, more of these older people like holding on to kick the bucket, maybe like influencing a younger generation to like understand the benefits of universal health care, like understand, like not be propaganda.
Like that could definitely happen, Bam, but like it's only like there's a book from like 2002 that's like, by the year 2015, Democrats are going to be as such that Texas is blue, and that totally didn't happen. But like, there's a bit of a true story that does come with like, okay, demographics are moving in such a way that the parts of the electorate that generally work well for Democrats will vote more and make up more of the voting electorate. But all these things are all else being equal, kind of like ceteris paribus arguments, and obviously, like, they don't predict these wild things like Trump. So basically what I'm saying is, yeah, all that demographic stuff is true, but it doesn't make a difference if you can't hold your ground. If you can't, like, hold things back from pushing more rightward in the meantime for that electorate to change, then you're not going to get anything out of that. And that is, but the Democrats have proven themselves completely unable to hold their ground. They just capitulate and move themselves further right to accommodate with the rightward pull of the Conservative Party.
Well, and so what I'm speaking of is like more of like culture, like the general culture of the nation, like aside from demographics. Like there are cultural changes happening. Like when you like, I mean, just the strikes happening in the NBA and like different things like that. Like those are like cultural phenomenons that are like happening. Like however on the surface they are whatever, like somebody could say like, oh, they don't matter, they don't mean anything, but this isn't stuff that you used to see. So there are cultural shifts, like hockey teams coming out like when their base is like white, like demographically you would think that there's no reason for them to do that. Demographically you would think that there's no reason for NASCAR to say we're not going to have Confederate flags anymore. Their demographic fucks with the Confederate flag, but the culture has shifted in a way that it's like, no, we're not doing that anymore. So but cultural changes take time and they do take movements. So I'm optimistic in the sense that like the culture can move forward in a way that's beneficial to the nation. There are a lot of powers that are going to fight against that. There are a lot of powers within that are calling themselves Democrats that are going to fight against that cultural shift. But I do think that it can happen. People just got to stay focused, kind of thing. People like yourself. We need you in the fight, not being cynical. We need you, Dan.
I would be less cynical if life were a little more motivating. There are reasons for my cynicism, and I think they're pretty fair in what I state out. But let's segue on to the story from the Democrats. What they could take away from the Democratic convention is that like we as a party are giving up. The best hope we can have for is a chance at being able to shift the status quo back to the 2013 consensus, maybe, where the biggest thing was that we're wondering if the electoral or the presidential ticket is valid or not because one of the peoples are black and so they may not have been born in the country. The good old days. But from the Republican National Convention, kind of like I alluded to earlier, it was a case of complete revisionism and like mirror land thinking that in this version of Donald Trump's America, coronavirus was handled well. The economy that Trump had inherited from Obama, not done much, but pumped up the stock market by making stock market investors at the very, very top of the distribution significantly wealthier from before the coronavirus and after. Trump is touting that as a huge win. He is saying that Joe Biden is the king of the swamp when, of course, pulling from Donald Trump's Drain the Swamp narrative in 2016, even though, like I say, if you just look at the Department of the Interior alone and Donald Trump turning America's national beauty into oil tar sand fields, that's definitely not too much of a swamp monster to me. Or Trump isn't someone who's going to be fighting the swamp to me. But basically, you have this sort of idea that, look, regardless of what's happening, we are just going to paint a beautiful picture for you that Donald Trump is great. And if you elect that socialist Joe Biden, everything will be fine. And Donald Trump will be able to come again in November and continue fixing America. It's like Donald Trump is running as an incumbent president. He's running as a challenger president, even though he's the incumbent. As of the last 4 years, haven't been on his watch. But there's one last statistic I want to jump into before getting into my main question. It's that, is this revisionism working? Are Republicans really believing in this rosier picture that Donald Trump is painting and the Republican Party is painting when the world is so horrible? Yes, absolutely. Because with the COVID death count at 180,000, it just came out that 57% of Republicans believe the current COVID death count is acceptable.
It's weird. They act like there was a COVID-18. How do they know? Geez. It's obvious. It's just because Trump's president. If it was Biden, then they would be like, oh my God, this is genocide. I love that Trump called Biden a Trojan horse for socialism. That was a good one.
He comes with the hits.
I was like, wow, man. I mean, geez, he could have been running against like John Kasich and call him a socialist. Um, yeah, the RNC is a joke. Like these people are just like brain dead. The fact that they brought them two people from St. Louis that were like pointing their guns at the during the protests, like
Oh yeah, they brought the gun couple,
yeah,
Karen and Ken, from the St. Louis protest from yet another shooting that happened earlier in the year.
hopefully
And they
that
brought them on the RNC stage, just like put them on a pedestal.
yeah, so they can talk like victims when not one damn person's pointing a gun at you, but you got your finger on the trigger of a pistol. And she's probably gonna get locked up for that shit. Um,
No,
um,
she's a lawyer.
we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, there's gonna be some penalty for it for sure, but I don't know if she'll get locked up. It'll be nice though. Like what do you even say about the Republican National Convention? I do. Actually, the thing that you bring up, which is like the most important in my opinion, is Donald Trump running as a challenger. That's like the basis of right wing thought is like you're always the victim. Like they're always like you're always like uh, uh, fighting against someone. Like it's like you're never in power really. And if anything goes wrong, it's you're. I mean, it's
You're
obvious.
under the siege. You're under the siege of fear at all times, and in
Yeah,
order to assuage that fear, vote for us, and we'll protect you from all the fears. Even
it,
when we're in power, you need to keep us in power so that the fears stay away. Because all the fears you fear while we're in power are because of our opponents who are weak,
yeah,
while we're strong, which is why you need to keep us in power so we can stay strong.
yeah.
It's the worst logic.
It's like the most weirdest thing. Like you're supposed to be tough, but you're also terrified, and like that's why it just doesn't appeal to me. I'm like, I don't walk around life scared. Like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm a black man in America. Like, I have the most reason to be terrified. Dan's out here, and I'm just joking. Um, like,
Snitching, clearly.
but I don't walk around scared. Like I walk around like, yo, let's make it happen. Like let's make this shit better. Not like, oh my God. Huh, oh my God. Huh. I mean, when I see those militia member dudes, when I see these people like the McMansion couple, you're going out with guns against, nothing's happening to you. And so all these losers sitting at the RNC would probably 15% of them going to get COVID. Oh, and I guess they never even mentioned Herman Cain. Damn, that's rough, buddy. He was out there tapping.
He was replaced very quickly. They had many other magic Negroes
Yeah.
waiting in his stead to convince white people that there's no reason that they're racist at all because Herman Cain's up there.
Tap dancing for all them years, couldn't get one shout out. Anyway,
Candace Owens. I mean, like, pour some out for Candace Owens, who has been shucking and jiving. Like, she literally started her career with a lawsuit against white people claiming racism and has pivoted entirely around to saying that black people have been racist to her whole life. And after literally giving everything, her edges included, into this Republican Party, they give her dick. They give her nothing. Not a nod, a couple of like hashtags on Twitter. That's it. Nothing. Charlie Kirk went up there, not even a little shout out, not even a little smirk. Charlie Kirk went up there and did his whole thing. He's got his 2024 run like in the bag as far as he thinks. So Candace Owens got left in the wind, which will just show you, like, I mean, yeah, it's true. I would be the first to tell you that you can be black in the Democratic Party and you can try everything and like work with them. But if you have the wrong opinions, the party ultimately won't give you shit. Well, you could be a Republican and sell your complete soul out and you still won't get shit. So
yeah, you did the work. Candace Owens ass thought it was sweet. She's like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? We can do everything. Oh yeah, Hitler. Beep. Like you brought up Hitler, sweetheart. You're out of there, buddy. There's buttons you don't push out here, sweetheart. So yeah, you got straight dick because you brought up the H man and we don't do that, buddy. So
Okay, really, this is the big question. It is almost the beginning of September as we speak. We have mercifully only about 2 more months of this. Who's winning? Who's on the board?
I honestly like if I'm a person, I don't like to do predictions. Even
we don't like to do this. Let's get this out of the way that we don't like to do this, but we are doing this show. We are doing this thing. We are here right now, out here. And if I'm asked this question in any other time period, like I got asked who's going to become the president when the Democratic primary was starting. And I told people all the time, I hated answering that question. Now I think if you're a political person, you're into politics all the time, and you're asked who do you think you're going to win between like now and election day, I think that's a fair question.
Yeah, no.
But put aside that we both hate the premise most of the time.
Yeah, I mean it's fine. I mean, I'm just in general I don't like to do predictions, but I honestly feel like I mean, can I say it like this? I guess I can. I feel like white people are kind of over Trump, and I think that a lot of people that didn't vote last time are also over Trump. They're not motivated by Joe Biden. They could care less. But I think like Trump has exhausted the nation in a lot of ways. And I guess like it's more about the people who didn't vote last time. I think a lot of those people are going to be motivated to vote. And from what I remember, a lot of those people came out in 2018 as well for the midterms. What the hell are you drinking, man? Do you hate what I'm saying? Do you hate what I'm saying that much? I'm like, gosh.
I mean, yes, honestly, I don't think that like, I don't think
well, let me finish. I think that the people that didn't vote are exhausted by the Trump presidency, and I think that they'll come out and vote against him. That's my prediction, and also my hope.
Fair, yes. My hope is that Trump does not win. The polling is nowhere near as close as it was in 2016 at this time between Hillary and Trump. Biden is winning in a landslide, and that's totally great. There's still a number of opportunities for Biden to screw this up. There's still a number of opportunities for Trump to spin up the fear machine and get some points back under his column. Like we said, there's no bottom with Trump at this point. Like we've reached it. That's not going to happen. But we could still see him get some points back up on the board. Like he really has nowhere to go but up at this point. But there's so many irregularities and issues with mail-in voting and what that might possibly look like. I think that it is still very much like Joe Biden is the Los Angeles Clippers in the postseason. They look good, but literally they can lose at any moment, and it's more likely than not that they will just completely fuck it up in the toast.
So you think that Trump's winning 2020?
I think that no matter how hard Joe Biden tries to draft Chris Paul or Blake Griffin or DeAndre Jordan or any of them, I don't care, no matter how many racist coaches that Joe Biden tries to fire, I don't think that he's going to make it past the semifinals.
Well, I mean,
like, so I'll add a little more like color to it, I guess, because like it's a little bit of an exaggeration of my opinion for like the purposes of doing a show, but like yeah, like I said, I think Joe Biden has a little bit more of a chance, but the same sort of I basically just whatever the mainstream political media is saying, and what they're saying right now is Joe Biden has this in the bag, it's his to lose. Always assume that they are as out of touch as we know they really are. So there's so many other factors here that I think the assumption is to think that Trump is going to win regardless right now. And I would absolutely love to be wrong, but that should be take by warning out there to fight hard with everything you can to make sure the infrastructure is out there, the opportunities are out there. Hell, if you're a young person and you have not you don't face any like real conditions with COVID-19, and that's not something that affects you or the people you live around, consider volunteering at a polling place, because that might be super helpful this year. Figure out how you plug in and see things with that level of urgency if you are concerned about a potential Trump victory, because you should be, and it's definitely not in the bag regardless of whatever polls out there tell you. Regardless of what Bam tries to tell you right now, this is still a very serious election, so we gotta be careful. And then Bam, I know what you're saying. There's nuance. I'm just fucking around.
No, I mean, I don't even believe polls. Like, I'm just like, they mean nothing to me, especially after the last election. But I mean, just my hunch, like just like my feeling is that, like, I mean, we know there's a lot of people that didn't vote last election, and there's always a lot of people that don't vote. But like, I just feel like Trump is just such a unique phenomenon. Like, and it's just exhausting. He's just like, it's just like he's such like a cancer. Like, it's a unique situation with Trump. And there's a part of me that gets bothered when people try to just like equate Trump and Biden. I'm like, dude, like don't like no, dude. Like there's a unique fear that comes with Donald Trump, and like whatever whack shit Joe Biden, like whatever, I don't expect anything from Joe Biden. Not a damn thing. I don't expect this place to improve in a material way. But I need Donald Trump out of office.
I need Donald Trump, and I more than just a single person, because I think it gets lost in like orange man bad kind of thinking. But yeah. I need the ecosystem and the cycle that Donald Trump perpetuates and gives a path to, like the existence of Donald Trump in an office of power. Empowers kind of the most like crazier aspects of society to go out there and be wild. It empowers the people who want to drive through protesters. It empowers the people who want to shoot through protesters. Just by not having him in office and having a different, I use the term knowing its ramifications, by having a different regime take office, you are in this election more so than ever making a policy difference between certain norms and practices in society. You're really voting between the rule of law and some vague sense of ideas with accountability with Joe Biden, which I disagree with that, whatever, versus Donald Trump and his political lackeys rules and a complete banana republic.
Yeah. And like someone like, yeah, I have ideals, and there's things that I'm like very passionate about when it comes to politics and like policy, but like at the same time, I know where I live. Like I know where I am. Like I know it ain't gonna be universal healthcare tomorrow. Like there's things that we gotta fight for in this country that like I think can happen, but they ain't happening overnight. And I know somebody that's 100% against everything that I believe in, socially, politically, whatever, is Donald Trump. Like I can't have a conversation with someone like that. Everybody in his damn administration going to jail. Steve Bannon has just got locked up. Like, come on. For all the like Jimmy Dores of the world and Glenn Greenwald types that's just spending all their time talking about Democrats and Joe Biden, giving a pass to Donald Trump this whole time. I'm saying this, all of you types, to me, like you're putting me in danger. Like I want to say that. Like you types are putting me in danger. I'm
those who are afraid to equate Trump with his true danger, who say like, oh, him being elected will be good for the left, or those who say that he's not really a populist, and those who those who say he's not really a fascist or doesn't even embrace fascist tendencies, and those who even insinuate such language are actually the problem and actually the thing that needs to face our primary attention rather than the harm being caused, whatever you want to academically label that harm. Rather that harm being caused to the real people it's actually hurting. You care more about like the labels or the academic sort of categorization of things as opposed to the political consequences. In the best of cases, like with Glenn Greenwald, or in the worst of cases, like your like Tim Pools, your Beanie Warriors out there, you're basically just advocating for what is it? Thinking that your like literally STEM tiny brain opinions are going to help the left in some way, because things will get so bad they'll finally ignite the left into doing something else. Well, guess what? Things are going to continue getting bad, and people are just going to get number. And people don't fight when they're numb. They just like wait till there's some momentum for shit to be breaking down, and then they join the breakdown with it. But they don't get organized. They don't mobilize in the way that the left really wants them to. And it's not like anyone on that side of the left knows about mobilization, because they're just fucking commentators. But before we wrap out of time and end up time, we're talking about. Come on, you need to let me host, dude. We're having a thing.
Can I get this off? Can I get it off, please, please, please? I know you hate me. I know you hate me. You just have another sip of that, whatever you're drinking. I just got to get it off, because you know what I'm saying, Dan. Look, actually, no, I'm not apologizing because you deleted the last two. You're letting me get this off, son. For all you people, these media dudes who have fashioned yourself on the left. And this is me, Bam. This isn't Dan. Dan's not, this is me. If you spent these past 4 years talking about Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Biden when he got the nomination exclusively, and yo ass was giving Trump a pass every day and or pretending that he's anti-war and all this other shit, you're fake. You've exposed yourself. And you are putting me in danger. I would never respect you people, ever. I'm gonna listen to Dan. I'm gonna be listening to the Dan show. Fuck all you guys. And you guys aren't. You're looking at yourself like, oh, I'm gonna be fine. I know that. I know how you guys get down. You're not worried about yourself, but me, I'm a target. Trust. And I'm bothered. But I'm gonna let Dan host the show, even though he's been deleting these shits.
Listen, that was well said. I'm just gonna leave it there. I am gonna move into the last part of the segment. Wait, Bam, you've been wanting me to record the whole time? That's oh fuck. Let me get that done.
Triggered.
Yeah, I do not. I'm not allowed to make those jokes anymore. But I've been looking at the recording thing that's recording, so we should be good. The last thing to talk about is, I think, you know, this is when the campaign's getting really serious, and now Joe Biden is going to be. He's got 2 minutes to convince the rest of the country that he's for real now, and so part of his investing in outreach, making sure that people are motivated to vote for Joe Biden, because apparently the convention didn't do that well enough, is to engage in outreach with the African American community in what he calls shop talk, in response to different things like Pew Research saying that 54% of eligible black men voted in 2016 compared to 64% of eligible white men. Biden is going to have these virtual campaign stops in Wisconsin and similar battleground states to basically talk with African Americans like it's a barbershop kind of scenario, and talk about political issues, ideally just kind of trying to touch on that, breaking down social barriers and reaching out to communities that he does not have the most kind of connection to. So when you first heard the story, did you kind of like burst out into laughter, imagining Joe Biden saying something a little bit off kilter about hootenannies or pickaninnies or something like that, while in a barbershop having a whole like thing over his head, with everyone raising an eyebrow, just like, hey, what was that though, boy? Yeah, boy. I mean, that's hard. I don't mean boy like that. I mean, man, come on, man. Just like imagining Joe Biden fumbling in a real barbershop situation. Like, this is the DNC. It's not going to be real. It's going to be super staged as fuck. Like, I don't know why they even try with this fugazi shit.
Dan, you can't be saying pickaninnies. Come on, dog. If he says
that's what Joe Biden would say. Like, he would slip up and fucking like accidentally say that in the damn barbershop. Like, I'm absolutely. He literally told people on the Breakfast Club, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. He said that unlike the Hispanic community, the black like he said, unlike the Black community, the Hispanic community is very diverse and far of the way they think, going against that idea that the Black voting bloc or any voting bloc is a monolith of any sort. Like, this dude cannot speak, and like the words that come out of his mouth are random and usually very old, and random old words are generally racist. So we report you to decide out here.
I mean, I just really hope that they don't record it. Please don't put it out there in public, or please be heavily edited. Like, whatever, you're gonna do what you gotta do. Like, it's like all that, like that game to me is just like, all right, like I don't pay attention to that at all. And I just really like please just like, dog, don't record it, dude. Like, have the barbershop. I would go if there's a barbershop thing and it's like Joe Biden, they were like invited me. Sure. Are you guys recording it? No? Okay, I'm there. If you are, I'm not going. Like, like you're not gonna have me there when he said pickaninnies and I gotta sit there like nothing happened.
We at Syndicate 23, experts in not recording events, would be happy to help the Joe Biden campaign in any capacity they would like to, in making sure that they can have this outreach with Black voters and no one ever sees the evidence.
Please don't. Please don't. Yeah, no. Say a hoot nanny, but not picking any. Please don't do that.
So, according to longtime Kamala Harris supporter Barkery Sellers, which, if I believe or not, is one of like definitely during the campaign was one of the more ardent Kamala Harris supporters, and by that I mean toxic.
He's from Jersey, right? Bakari Sellers?
I think so.
Okay.
And yeah, apparently they're gonna hopefully allow for some space for the "you ain't black" comments, the prosecutorial record of Kamala Harris, the crime bill record of Joe Biden. I mean, what can I say? As Joe Biden's campaign puts it, build back better. So I guess we're going to be bigger, better, blacker. Like, I don't know. I'm just like, I don't have another 2 months in me, dog. I just want to fast forward to the end and I can know whether I need to literally start arming to the teeth, or whether or not I can possibly 4-year or 5-year plan a semi-normal country.
Yeah, I mean, like and I'm not even saying it cynically, like I'm not really interested in that. Like, I'm just not. Like, I'm gonna go vote in November. I'm not really interested too much in what Joe Biden's doing. I hope that he's figuring out the swing states. I hope that you're doing that, buddy. Like, figure this shit out. Kamala Harris, I hope she gets out the black vote more. Whatever you got going on, sure. There's never gonna be like a diehard, oh, Joe Biden. Like, I would love to meet that person. But yeah, like I'm not so like invested in like that part of what's going on. I'm still concerned more with Trump. Like, he's the president. I'm more concerned with what he's doing. And hopefully Biden can figure it out. I mean, this is what we're working with, dog. Like, this is what we got.
Yeah.
Sure.
All my fault. I will say, if there's any consolation or apology I can provide to folks, is that there is also going to be an opportunity this November for a lot of candidates down ballot on the state level and on the local level who that's the easiest way to really sneak in as a really extreme politician on either end of the spectrum and kind of get your vote counted or like your voice heard. So do your research, check and see if there are any like super hard ass far left people running for school board or city council or comptroller or anything like that in your area. Find out the history, make sure they don't just say the buzzwords like Green New Deal and Medicare for all, but like they really mean it, that their speech and their actions and their history that you can find online, of which you can, matches their rhetoric and what they're saying, and that their critics, while tough, are like fair. And yeah, I think while there's a lot of doom and gloom to be had over the main ticket, the president gets a lot of attention and Congress is pretty fucked too. I think there's a lot of space for things to happen on the local and even state levels. And as we've found out, some of the things that the Trump administration has tried to do in the past couple of years has hit roadblocks because of state laws and local laws. It's also hit roadblocks in the side of harming causes that are near and dear to the left, but that is even more the reason to make sure that we have people on our side, people who will listen to us in positions of power, so that we can, yes, stop going on the defense. We can actually fight on the offense. We're no longer the reactionary Democratic Party that exists only to get dragged by the legs further rightwards in the political spectrum, but a new party, a new power that is forceful and able to actually fight back against right-wing extremism in this country. So yeah, that's the call to action. Usually BAM usually tells me to do something and solve something magically. But no, the elections are coming soon. If you can vote and get your ballot off as soon as possible, and research the candidates on there and make sure they are left as fuck. And then when they do get elected, just like with if Joe Biden and Kamala Harris gets elected, like literally keep them accountable after they're elected, so they don't just look at the election day and go, "Whew, I made it. Time to collect my check." No, the fight does not end on election day. It doesn't end any day. BAM, I am going to state very clearly that this is the last time that I'm going to throw to you. So get all of your words out now.
I'm the enemy, even though I didn't delete the last two. It's okay. I just want to say that I would love for Dan to run for office. You know what I'm saying? Maybe city council, Long Beach or something, maybe mayor, I don't know, state senate. I would be 100% completely backing Dan. Did you guys just hear that speech he just gave? This man is built for politics, and I hope that we're having you to vote for soon. I got too many skeletons in the closet. Don't even ask me. I can't. They start pulling up my WhatsApp history. It's over for your boy. But you, sir, I think that you would make a great representative of the people.
I think there are enough episodes of the Audio Face podcast to disqualify me for any form of elected office or even dog catcher.
You're right. Never mind. I take it back.
Check out that plug right there where noted podcast guest. No, I just not drag them because the episodes were deleted. I guess you're fair. Stop it, BAM. You'll make me actually feel guilty. Anyways, yes, let's end this episode. Let me make sure this recorded because I'm looking at the recording thing and it looks like all is good, but we will find out the results later. BAM, thank you much for joining me. BAM can be found on the We Made It podcast. We Made It, I'm not going to say the We Made It podcast.com. Is that the website where you'll find?
Yes, sir.
Good. You can find all of the soccer coverage related things right there. Obviously, you can find me and Sean on AudioFace. We're reviewing music every single week as it comes out at audioface.show to find out where to subscribe and watch us on YouTube and all that stuff. And Power Report will be back in another 2 weeks with hopefully fewer tech issues and a really good interview. So thanks for y'all for joining. And until then, try to survive the next 2 weeks and not go postal.
R.I.P. Chadwick Boseman.
R.I.P. Chadwick Boseman. Is it too late to say, or is it too wrong to say Killmonger was right?
I hope you're not recording.
That's either going to be the outro or the intro.
No, come on.